Everyone is talking about GLP-1, including me on this podcast, Health with Hashimoto's. We have talked about it on several different episodes, and I'm going to give you an update to my story today. Now, GLP-1 is a peptide that your body makes, and the benefits go way beyond weight loss. People talk about it for weight loss, and they talk about blood sugar, but the benefits of GLP-1, it supports brain health, it reduces inflammation, it protects your cardiovascular system, and it can even benefit your hormone balance and immune regulation. And as a listener of the Health with Hashimoto's podcast, my assumption is that you are very interested in your immune regulation and you're very interested in inflammation because inflammation is so huge in autoimmunity. And of course, Hashimoto's is an autoimmune condition. So I'm going to give you an update on my 6-month experience with the MindBody GLP-1 system. But first, welcome to the Health with Hashimoto's podcast. My name is Esther. I am a registered nurse. I'm the mom of 4 boys. One of them is graduating soon from high school. He is my oldest. It's crazy going into this new season of life. You'll have to let me know, send me a message on Instagram, like what kind of things do you do as soon as your kid graduates? How do you handle this transition from high school senior to fledgling adult? Give me all your tips. I'm super interested to know. All right, so Hashimoto's. It has been part of my life for a while. I first learned that I had Hashimoto's because I had skin irritation. I had a rash, almost like a psoriasis on my legs, and I went in actually to see my chiropractor. I wanted some food sensitivity testing, and she looked at me and she said, "Your thyroid area looks a little boggy." I wasn't quite sure what she meant by boggy, but I trusted her. So the front of my neck, the base of my neck, she thought it looked a little swollen. So she did the lab testing, and sure enough, it came back. My antibodies were high. My TSH was still fine. My T4 was fine. My T3 was fine. My reverse T3 was quite elevated, meaning my body was saying we need to prioritize rest and healing, not go, go, go. But everything else was still okay. So I caught it fairly early, which I am very grateful for. I don't know how early in the system, in the process, you are catching yours. I hope that it is very early and that you are identifying your root causes and that you're taking action to address those. And I want to shortcut your time because we don't have time. You know, I have 4 boys. Like I said, one of them is graduating. They're each going into these new seasons of life. You know, one of my youngest, he's going into youth group for the first time at church. My second, he's getting his driver's license. Like they're all doing new things. I'm busy. I wear multiple hats. I'm sure you do too, because that is the state of our culture today. Everybody is so busy. So you don't have time to waste in trying to figure things out and doing all of this trial and error and doing tons of research. I love learning. I love digging into things and going deep in the research and reading a variety of different opinions and different experts. I have read multiple books on thyroid, multiple books on autoimmune stuff. I've done so much research and I enjoyed it. That is one of the things that I love to do as a nurse and somebody trained in holistic health education. Like when I was going to school, when we had a module, I think it was once a week, once every other week, and we would get 100 to 300 pages of different research studies. And we would have to read through all of them and compile this picture, this whole person picture of what was going on: body, mind, spirit, diet, and environment. So when I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's, that's of course what I was doing. I was looking at tons and tons of research. I was learning as much as I could, compiling a picture and figuring out what are the root causes, what is the physical stuff, what's the emotional stuff, what's the spiritual stuff, what kind of dietary things do I need to be thinking about, what are the root causes in a dietary language. And then what's the environment? I looked at all of it, and I understand that most people don't have time to do that, and they don't want to do that. They want to say, okay, here's my diagnosis and my symptoms. What do I need to do? And so that is why I created the Holistic Hashimoto's course for you. It's so that you can figure out exactly what to do. You can shortcut your time. I already did all of the research. I already looked at all of the things, and I compiled them, and I made it a shortcut for you because you don't have time to waste. So the Holistic Hashimoto's course, you can find it down the link in the show notes. Of course, you can find it in our school community, SKOOL. It's Health with Hashimoto's is our community on that website, school.com. And it is a fantastic resource for you. So I tell you all of that backstory because I'm going to tell you about my GLP-1 experience. Now, about, maybe 15 years ago, I started getting more migraines. I had a couple when I was in junior high and high school, then not really any, but about 15 years ago, I started getting them. And of course, me being the root cause person, I started trying to figure out why I was getting them. And I eventually realized that it was a grouping of things for me. And I had 4 specific things. And if I had 2 or 3 of those 4, especially 4 of them, I would get a migraine. So it didn't have to be, the same 2. It could be any variety. And so, of course, to figure that out, it took a while because one thing would sometimes trigger a migraine, but not always. So eventually I realized that it was these 4 specific things. And if 2 or more of them happened, then I would get a migraine. And one of them was sugar. So I know for me that blood sugar impacts my migraines. And every single month for the last 2 or 3, maybe 4 years, I have gotten a migraine. Okay, not maybe every month, maybe 11 out of the 12 months. When my period comes, and sometimes when I ovulate, I get a migraine. Not cool. It's, I understand the pain scale because I had a kidney stone back a while ago. That showed me what a 10 was. A 10 is higher than labor. When I was in labor, I thought that was a 10, and then I had a kidney stone. So a 7 for me on that pain scale from 0 to 10 is when I start throwing up out of pain. My migraines will often throw me over a 7, and that is miserable. It takes a day or 2 or sometimes even 5 out of my month, and I don't have that to spare. I'm sure you don't either. So when I found out about this MindBody GLP-1 system, I was intrigued. If you listen to episodes 114, 115, 116, and 117, we talk about GLP-1. In episode 115, I'm going to tell you all about what it is. That's 114. 115, I tell you a bunch of tips on how you can increase your own production. And in 116 and 117, I talk to you about the MindBody system. And I also interview my friend Jenny Crane, who is part of an experiential group who got access to this product before it was released. So this product, the MindBody GLP-1 system, is designed to help your body create more GLP-1. So like I said in episode 115, there are a lot of ways that you can increase your own production. So when they did the clinical studies on the MindBody system, they found that you create 54% more GLP-1 production. Your body creates more. It also increases other pathways and genes. It upregulates your GCG gene, which is a precursor that creates proglucagon. It's a precursor protein for GLP-1. So you need to have that proglucagon. You need to be creating that or activating that GCG gene. There's also another gene, the PCSK1 gene. That also plays a role with the proglucagon and the GLP-1. It does a whole bunch of things that they found this in the research. So I was very intrigued and I wondered, will this help my monthly migraines? I also was wondering if it would help my Hashimoto's. If you've been through Hashimoto's Decoded the Root Causes mini course, which is also the beginning of the Holistic Hashimoto's course, I put, that as a standalone. If you only want to figure out your root causes and then you want to do the trial and error into solutions, you can do that. That's the Hashimoto's Decoded Root Causes course. Again, school.com. It's the Health with Hashimoto's community. You'll find it in the classroom tab. And the link is down in the show notes. So if you've gone through that, if you've gone through the holistic Hashimoto's course, you know that blood sugar regulation, the lows and the highs, are a trigger for Hashimoto's. So I knew that about myself. I also knew that I don't have diabetes. I am not diabetic. I did not have gestational diabetes in any of my pregnancies. I wasn't worried about diabetes, but I did know that I get hangry very easily. I do know that I can forget to eat. If I'm in the zone, or if I'm stressed, or if I'm busy, I can sometimes forget to eat, and that's not healthy. If you can forget to eat, and if you get hangry easily, you probably have metabolic brittleness, meaning your body cannot adapt very well. And I knew I was in that state. So I was very intrigued by this MindBody GLP-1 system. I did not want to get it for weight loss. I was not worried about that. I am not worried about weight loss. I am very fortunate in that a lot of my listeners to this podcast struggle greatly with their weight. And I don't know if you are in that boat, but a lot of people with Hashimoto's do struggle with their weight. It is not one of the reasons that I started on the GLP-1 system. I wanted to increase my body's own production of GLP-1 and see what it did for my inflammation. I wanted to see how it changed my relationship with food. I wanted to see if it would impact my inflammation. Did I just say that one? And I wanted to see what it would do for my migraines. So I've been using this MindBody GLP-1 system for a little over 6 months, and here is my story of what I experienced. The very first thing that I noticed was I got the system in early October, and my kids went out trick-or-treating for Halloween, and the bowl sat on the counter the next day, and I didn't care. What? Like, it wasn't even part of the background noise in my brain. I didn't care that there was a bowl of candy with Butterfingers on my counter. I didn't even care. Now that was absolutely insane to me. That has never happened. If there's Butterfingers in the house, I know where they are. I know how many there are. I'm already calculating when would be appropriate to go get another one. Like, dessert, snack, when should I have that next Butterfinger? It's there in my brain. I am thinking about it. And when Halloween came around, and I had not been on the system for very long, and I did not expect any, brain benefits yet, and all of a sudden, I didn't even care that they were in the house. Oh my goodness, it blew my mind. Absolutely blew my mind. Now, I'm not going to say that over the last 6 months, I haven't had any cravings. I'm not going to say that I have, ignored all sweets or all things that are not good for me, because that's not true. I have had some cravings. I have indulged sometimes, but I have not had to fight it very hard. If I'm going to have something, it's because I choose to. It's not because I'm constantly aware of that thing that's in the house or that I really want. It just changed my brain's relationship with food. That's the number one thing that I noticed. And that was right away, within a month of starting. The next thing that happened was one of my kids had multiple broken bones over the last year. Starting in the summer, he broke his leg, and then it was 10 days after his last orthopedic appointment when he broke his finger. For his finger, he needed surgery. So I'm sitting in the hospital waiting for him to finish the surgery, and I realize that I no longer can skip meals. So that is the next thing that happened, was my relationship with food changed mentally first. Like, I didn't have the food noise, I don't have the cravings, and then physically, I used to have about just a very small window of feeling hungry. I would have zero hunger, and then I would be completely oblivious on a 100-point scale up until about 90. And once I hit about the level 90 in hunger, then I knew I was hungry, starving. And then, the closer it got to 100, then like shaky, nauseous, headache, all of that nasty stuff. But really between 0 and 90, I could ignore, which explains why I had so many hangry episodes and why I could just forget to eat. When I was in surgery or waiting for my son who was in surgery, I realized that that was no longer the case. Now I actually recognize my hunger levels. I have a full range from 0 to 100. In other words, I have a healthier relationship with food. However, I wasn't happy about it. I was very happy being able to ignore my bodily needs. And maybe that's one of the reasons why I have Hashimoto's, because I could ignore what my body was telling me. I interviewed a guest, and I'm not quite sure when her episode is going to come out, but she said, learn to recognize the whisper before your body has to yell. And that is what I failed to do for decades. I ignored the whispers. I waited for my body to yell. And then after a while, it got sick of yelling at me and it just started shutting down. Hello, autoimmune problems. Hello, Hashimoto's. So learning to hear and to feel, to acknowledge the hunger cues between 0 and 100 was new for me. That was something else that this MindBody GLP-1 system did. And I will confess that I was kind of cranky about it at first. Now I have accepted it. I know that it's healthy. I know that that's how my body was created, was to have different hunger levels, not just 0 and 90, and then 90 to 100. So that's the next thing that happened, second thing. And then the migraines. That was a little bit more gradual. I don't remember when it started. And I tell you often on this podcast to track your symptoms, write things down. Maybe if I went back in my Oura Ring history, I could tell when I have a migraine because I usually put a tag, especially if it's a level 7 and it causes me to, be in the bathroom throwing up. I'll usually put a tag in my Oura Ring so that I can see, why did I have 0 activity that day? I was stuck in bed all day with a migraine. But I haven't looked it up. I do know that today my period is starting and I had a slight headache the last 2 days. It went away. I was able to get rid of it without any medication. Usually when I have a migraine with my period, I do all of the things. I do all the natural things. I do all the stress things. I even do coffee enemas. I do medications over the counter. I've not ever needed prescription, but at the same time, maybe if I had a prescription medication, I wouldn't, be spending 5 days in bed. So I had a slight headache. It was like a 1 or 2 on a pain scale. And it was more like if I get up and I'm moving around, I just feel really gross, but I was still able to function. That was this month. The last 3 months, I have had either that or nothing. Nothing. I remember I told you it's been like 4 years, 3 or 4 years that I've had migraines almost every single month. That, I believe, is directly in relationship with my body's hormones and things starting to work better. I believe that the MindBody GLP-1 system, which is the only thing that's changed over the last 6 months, it has changed like all of those peptides and hormones and the signals of my body. My body is working better. This system is helping my body do what it's supposed to do. I am completely thrilled with this. Absolutely just so happy to not have a migraine right now. I would not be recording this episode right now. It is Wednesday. I have a podcast in my queue in case I can't record in order to publish on a Thursday, because I have had weeks where, I was flat in bed for 5 days and I could not sit at my computer and record coherently. You can't do that if you're a podcaster, but I'm able to sit here. And I figured, why not do a 6-month update? So I will tell you, though, that people who use the MindBody GLP-1 system for weight loss, they're not having miracles. You're not going to have Ozempic or Wegovy, Mounjaro results with this, because all of those are way more than your body would create on its own. All of those are way out of proportion with what your body, with what it needs. With this MindBody GLP-1 system, it's more doing what your body would naturally do. It's getting it back online. Yes, producing more GLP-1, producing more of these other things that interact or that complement and help the GLP-1 do what it's supposed to do. There's a lot of things that this MindBody GLP-1 system does, but rapid and huge weight loss is not one of those things. So there was a group of people and they all got together and did it for 12 weeks. And let me tell you the statistics. So I have some informal statistics. A group of people did this together. There were about 1,700 that started. And after 12 weeks, there were about 300 who submitted their after pictures and their measurements and their weight, all of that. And I have the preliminary results. I do not have the final results. I don't have the official statistics and the numbers that have been completely run through. I only have the preliminary. So please follow me and please send me a message if you want to know the actual results. Because like I said, this is just preliminary. I wanted to give you my 6-month update. And at this time, when I have been on the MindBody GLP-1 system for 6 months, I only have that preliminary results from that study or from that experience. On average, the women who were losing weight lost a little over 9 pounds. So if you're looking for miraculous, crazy weight loss, I don't think this is the system for you. If you're looking for something to help your body do what your body is designed to do, but as you have gained weight, as you have been exposed to different toxins and things in your environment, as your body just has started to not work like it's supposed to, you don't have as much GLP-1, your body isn't working, like you have a lot of food noise, you just want a better relationship with food and you want to help your hormones and like everything work better, then this MindBody GLP-1 system is absolutely phenomenal. I give it 5 out of 5 stars, highly recommend. I am so thrilled with my results. Absolutely thrilled. And I want these results for you too, because who wouldn't want less food noise, less cravings, all of the things that I experienced? I want that for you too, except obviously I don't want you to go through the decade of migraines. Let's not do that. Let's not have so many problems. I've spent a decade trying to figure out what's causing these suckers and how I can get rid of them. I am so thrilled with my results from this. Just absolutely beyond the moon excited to have an entire month that is me living my life. I want that for you. So when you go down to the show notes and you click my affiliate link so that you can order the MindBody GLP-1 system, you're actually going to order the Healthy Weight Stack. Now that is the Protandim the Protandim NRF2 plus the MindBody GLP-1. And of course, if you've listened to my other episodes, you've probably heard me mention the Protandim NRF2 synergizer because it helps your body create more antioxidants. It helps it clean things up. You produce 300% more glutathione, which is huge for your immune system and for a lot of the root causes and triggers. Protandim NRF2, amazing. And when you combine it with the MindBody GLP-1 system, they work in synergy and they're both helping each other work even better and do amazing things. So you're going to do that, your Healthy Weight Stack. Now, the company right now, as I'm recording this, it is May of 2025. If you stay on the system, if you use it faithfully and appropriately for 3 months and you feel like you are not having any changes, then on your 4th month, they will give you the Protandim NRF2 with the activated collagen, which helps your body create more collagen. It supplements 10 different types and it helps you create your own. I notice a huge difference when I am using that. And when I use a cheaper one that's a powder, they say only 30% of the powder actually works, even if you're getting a really high quality one. And I can definitely tell the difference. I can see when I'm doing the activated collagen, I get lots of baby hairs, things change. My skin is so much better. When I'm just doing the powder one, which I do for breakfast, just to increase my protein, there's an absolute difference. So you're going to do a Healthy Weight Stack for 3 months. And hopefully you have amazing changes. If you don't see any changes, then they will give you the Healthy Glow Stack, which is the Protandim and the collagen on your 4th month. So really it's a win-win. If you want to do this with a friend and you want to talk about the business model, because LifeVantage is a network marketing company, then let me know about that too. And we can definitely talk about getting you started so you can have a group of friends do it with you, because you can absolutely create real change in your own health But just imagine the impact when you bring others along with you, and I can help you make that happen. I'll talk to you next week on the Health with Hashimoto's podcast. This podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. Please discuss any concerns and plans with your trusted healthcare professional. If you found this episode helpful, will you please share it with a friend? I'll see you next week on the Health with Hashimoto's podcast.